Hi, I'm Jeremy at FiTech Fuel Injection, and today we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A. When are you guys going to create a cruise control for your systems? There's no plans in the current project lineup to make our own cruise control system. There are systems out there that are compatible, say with our throttle bodies. Just a standard carburetor style cruise control setup should work. With LS, I believe Dakota Digital is working on one that has the capability of activating the cruise control. And I'm going to work with them again on drive-by-wire cruise control setups. But it's a little bit, you have to make sure the brake switches are there and that the speed signals are there and accurate. There's a lot of safety problems with adding a cruise control system, especially with these old cars and you guys putting them together. So next question is, has anyone ever decapped the 1200 horsepower 80-pound injectors? If so, what kind of flow numbers did you see? I don't know the answer. I'm pretty sure somebody has done it. The problem you'll run into is if you're trying to idle, decapping them kind of really takes out the precision of the injectors, and they may not be able to inject a small enough pulse width for idle. I don't know the decapped flow rate though, but I'm sure it's pretty big. We do have bigger injectors available, I think, already right now. We are rating them at 120 pounds per hour. That's going to be at like 43 PSI. If you run them a little higher pressure, they'll be a little more. But that 120 pounds per hour injector, we're using it in our Nemesis, like on this car. That is capable of 1600 horsepower of gasoline. So that would be around 1200 horsepower with the 85. They're the exact same size and operation. So if you wanted to customize your setup, they are available. You can contact us for those. Okay. The next question we have here is, just got parts for my 85 Corvette. Apparently I needed a locked distributor to get my SMB in time. Is there anything I need to know before installing this distributor, coil, and ignition box? 400 small block 85 Corvette. I can see in the picture that it's being converted to an Ultra-Ram setup. We do have a TPI system that is compatible with the small cap HEI TPIs distributors, but this one is a Ultra-Ram being installed on a small block. And in order to do timing control, you take a 2-wire distributor, you lock it out by, you have to pop the gear off, take the vacuum advance off, mechanical weights off, slide the shaft out a little, flip it over, and retighten it in the locked position, not in the variable position. And in order to get that vacuum advance off, you do need like a C-clip pliers and to get the central assembly out enough so that you can get the vacuum advance canister off of there and install the block off. If you were to just leave the vacuum advance canister on it and not plug it in, that would also, work, but somebody along the line is going to plug it in and that's going to mess up your timing. And so our 2-wire pickup distributors, they have no electronics inside them other than just a little magnetic pickup that reads the tooth wheel. And that tooth wheel needs to be locked in reference to the crankshaft through the cam gear and all that. And we use that timing signal as a reference point, and we advance our timing from there. So at cranking, it'll be at the reference point of, out of the box, we usually set it at 13 degrees, and you can advance typically up to about 30 degrees from there without too much issue. But we do recommend using a phasable rotor, and you would advance that phasable rotor a little bit so that at low RPM there's no gap, and at high RPM when there's higher spark there's also no gap under the distributor cap. You do not have to run timing control even though you have it as an option. If you run a ready to run, or you can run the 2-wire with its mechanical and vacuum advance, and just run those into a, either the coil or a CDI box or both. And then the engine can still work just like a regular engine, and the throttle body would, or EFI would still just act like, you know, a smart carburetor. But if you're, if you wanted to do timing control, yes, you need to run a lock distributor or the TPI, HEI stuff with a TPI kit. And on LS's, obviously everything's built off the crank sensor and cam sensor, so there's no distributor involved there, which is kind of great. One of the only few reasons I recommend timing control would be big choppy cams trying to stabilize their idle, because it has an idle stability problem, or idle stability feature in the software that will compensate for the choppiness, and it will kind of take out some of the choppiness. And also, if you're running and you're trying to fine-tune everything, you can fine-tune it a little better with the handheld rather than springs and weights and vacuum advanced adjustments on the distributor. And the process for setting up timing, again, is install the distributor, get it running. It's basically the same installation as a normal distributor. Get it running. In the ignition setup, there's a lock timing mode that will lock the computer's output to be 30 degrees, but it doesn't know where it is. So you have to actually physically move the distributor, use a timing light, get that reading to say 30 degrees also with a timing light, and then lock down the distributor. And you check that at 2,000 and 4,000 RPM, make sure it's staying the same, tighten it down, turn the key off, you're set up for timing control. The next question is, so I have a brand new Go EFI 4-barrel installed on a 77 Toyota 20R with a points distributor. I have a blue wire running to the negative terminal on the coil and the white wire running to a switch that stays on while cranking. The handheld controller is showing 0 RPM while cranking, but shows RPM readings when tapping the blue wire to the battery. Anyone got any ideas? The car was running before installing the FiTech. And then one of our tech support guys, Austin, his Highway Dreams on Facebook, he replied, will not work with a points distributor. And then the customer replied, so I was able to get it to fire, but now it just fires and dies right away. Then the fuel pumps primes itself again and the injectors click once. Even after installing a new battery, could this be caused by the distributor not being compatible with the system? One of the clues in here that's leading me to some sort of question mark is he's saying he gets it to fire, but it fires and dies, and then the pump primes itself again. That's either indicating that the key switch isn't staying high enough voltage, or the whole system is somehow turning on and off again, which could be a grounding issue, it could be a battery supply issue to the unit. Maybe the starter's getting all the power, but it might just be an engine ground problem where the system's actually not even staying on properly, or the key switch is not staying on properly. Anytime I see 0 while cranking, but I know I'm getting spark, and I know I've got the signal hooked up properly, still leads me down the line of investigate the key switch further. Some key switches I've seen have dead spots in them, where when you go to test it, you maybe fully twisted it, but if you're just running it, or if you're just trying to do it as like a normal operation, you don't give it a full twist and it's got like a weak spot in there. What else could it possibly be? It could be the point system itself is not giving it a full solid grounding signal to the coil. And that could be the way that ignition system works. But for our TAC input, the voltage needs to be at least above 4 volts and down below 2 volts. That's the transition point. So if there's some sort of ballast resistor that's wired weird, and I've never played with a Toyota 20R, so I don't really know what their points is, but and usually ballast resistors are for when it's for running, and they give them full voltage while cranking, so it's not very sure why it would do that. But points in general are not the best at giving a clean signal to the EFI system. I have tried it and I've used it on a few cars just to see if it works. It did work, but I've heard that, you know, a worn out points can bounce and give multiple signals per spark, or, you know, they just wear out in general anyway. And, you know, you're going to EFI, might as well give it the best option, or, you know, the best ignition possible. So on this one in particular, one thing you could try would be hooking up a CDI box and seeing if that can properly read the signal. But I would still investigate the white wire's input, because it will, if that white wire is below, you know, 6 volts or so, it'll sense that it's turned off, and it will, no matter what signal it gets in on the attack, it will show 0 RPM. So I'm kind of leaning towards key switch first, and then checking if you actually have spark properly. And then if you could do it with a multimeter, or not a multimeter, an oscilloscope, you could actually see, is that tack signal actually going to ground? So the other thing, the primes itself again is indicating he's either losing the key somewhere in there where it's seeing this key going off and on again, or the whole system is being turned off and on again. So that's where I would investigate that further on that. On that Toyota engine, like if I was having that trouble, I recommend talking to our tech supports again, not trying to do it just all online, maybe a phone call, and see if they can help you walk through a few more diagnostic steps, and try to figure out what's the true cause of that problem. Our tech supports are pretty good at being able to sit with you on the phone for a little while and making sure you get through your problem properly. Hopefully I've answered these questions thoroughly enough, and if you do have more questions or comments, leave them in the comment below. We'll try to put your question in our next video.